All right. All right. Well, I would like to call the Village of Lansing Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. And the first item of business is, if there's any public comment, there's no public here. I don't see any public here. Shall we close public comment? All right.
Right, second.
No public comment. All right. So the first item of business, hello, Nusheen. I'm Lynn. I'm hiding behind a mask.
Hi.
This is a hearing. We need to open the hearing for your appeal, your variance appeal. So could I have a motion to open the hearing? Second by Roy. This is going to be really it's going to be really easy. You can take turns.
Hey, Lynn, I want to let everybody know that I do have all the mailings from both applicants, just so that's on record.
Okay, all the mailings have been received. So this is a public hearing for the variance appeal number 2022-05 for subdivision number 2022-4630. And Nusheen Ahmadi is proposing to subdivide a 4.023 acre lot located at 42 Esty Drive into two separate lots. The required frontage for a parcel located in the low-density residential district is 150 feet. One of the proposed subdivided parcels has 100 feet of frontage, therefore requiring an area variance of 50 feet. And then, so, yes.
Okay, you want me to review this, Lynn?
Sorry?
You want me to review this?
Yes, please. It's a little hard to hear. It's very echoey, like you're in a long tunnel.
Hold on one second.
We're in a long tunnel.
A lot of hard surfaces.
Yeah.
I have to allow myself to share screen, sorry.
Yeah. I'm reading from the agenda instead of reading from the. All right.
1 second.
Bear with us. We're letting Mike bring up some documents. So are you pulling up the map? There we
Yes.
go.
Can
Okay.
everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, let me give you Nusheen, go ahead and interrupt me if I'm wrong on this, but we've gone over this a few times, so I think I've got it correct. This whole parcel was originally subdivided, and I'm circling here, was originally subdivided into what you see parcel A here, and this used to be parcel B. Nusheen now owns this parcel A. And what she would like to do is subdivide that parcel into two parcels now. Parcel A would be this section that's not outlined with this frontage that's in orange. And then section B, parcel B, would be what you'd see in pink here and this section up here. Disregard this other pink section.
Okay.
Okay, so the frontage issue that we're talking about, what is existing at this point is, can everyone see my cursor okay?
Yeah. Yep.
From this point to this point is 150 feet. And that was when this whole big parcel here was initially subdivided, that 150 feet made this parcel a conforming parcel.
Uh-huh.
So that was originally there. Now that Nusheen wants to turn this into two more parcels, what she has is 140 feet that is fronting Route 34, and then still the existing 150 feet that is on ST Glen Road. What is needed is 150 for both parcels, so obviously we're short 10 feet here. Now, the reason we aren't just taking 10 feet for this parcel is because it's be very difficult to get a driveway from this parcel onto Route 34 for numerous reasons. One, it has to cross a state easement, which is difficult in itself. And two, if she does get permission to cross that, by putting a driveway in this area, it is quite congested by the time you have her driveway, SD driveway or SD Road, then you have Cuga Heights Road over on this side, and you have Burdick Hill up here. Very dangerous situation. So what I have suggested is taking this 140 feet, plus another 50 feet off of SD Drive, where she could have a driveway here and comfortably pull out onto SD Drive
Right.
and then go on to Route 34. But by doing that, it's leaving only 100 feet left for this parcel. And that's where we come into the 50 foot of frontage for the
Okay,
variance.
okay.
Did I explain that okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, any
Yes.
questions?
Yep.
Questions? I don't have any questions. That all seems really clear, Mike.
Okay.
So I guess what we need to do now, Nushin, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, Mike explained it perfectly.
Okay, all right. If you have anything, if we say anything, or if something comes to mind, please just wave an arm.
Sure.
All right, thank you. So I think we will proceed then and go through the process here that we always go through when we're reviewing a variance request. So on December 20th, that's today, 2022, the Village of Lansing Board of Zoning Appeals held a public hearing regarding such action, which is requesting a variance of 50 feet. And thereafter thoroughly reviewed and analyzed the materials and information presented and in support of this appeal and all other information and materials before the board, all issues raised during the public hearing and otherwise raised in the course of the board's deliberations. And then also on December 20th, 2022, in accordance with Article 8 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, we find that it's a type 2 action which does not require seeker review. Seeker is the State Environmental Quality Review Act. I'm sorry about the acronyms, but we start tossing them around here because we're so used to them. So then in accordance with section 712-B of the Village Law of the State of New York and the Village of Lansing Code section 145-74A parentheses 1, the Village of Lansing Board of Zoning Appeals, in the course of its deliberations, took into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. So now we need to go to the findings, which is a standard process for us according to our village law. We have to ask some questions of ourselves and as part of the review. So the first of our questions is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance. And we have three of us here now, so we can override each other 2-1, but
Roy?
Roy, what's your thought, Roy, on this? If there'll be an undesirable change.
I can't imagine there is. I heard Mike say that the neighbors had been canvassed or.
They've gotten the mailings.
There was no objection.
No objections,
I
okay.
put a lot of stock in it.
I agree.
Frankly.
Right, I agree too, so the question would be answered, no, there would not be an undesirable change.
I agree.
Okay. And the second is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
I don't think so, especially with this safety.
It doesn't sound like it can be done.
No, it seems
Safely.
not safely, and that is a very bad place for intersections at the top of the hill. Having gone through it, multiple times every week, it's no fun. So that would be a no.
So that's a no.
Yeah. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. I think 50 feet is minor.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No. Okay, and whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
Doesn't sound like it.
No. And it's far from It's far from the very steep gorge that's in that area, but that's to the north of her property, so that's a no, I agree. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
Well,
Probably yes,
Yes, yeah,
those are, I guess,
Yeah.
almost all.
because Nushin chose to subdivide.
right, exactly.
All right,
That's
so
the.
that's a yes. All right. So those are our findings, and now I think what we need is to have we're just following along here, we just need to have a vote. So it's hereby determined by the Village of Lansing Board of Zoning Appeals that the following variance is either granted or denied. So may I have a motion?
I move that we grant it.
Is there a second? Second by John. All those in favor? Aye. So we approve the variance with any conditions as indicated, it being further determined that such variance is the minimum necessary and adequate to grant relief, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And I can't think of any conditions that would be needed for this. I think it's fine the way it is, so you're all set, Nushin.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Now you can go to sleep. Well, where are you, in Valencia?
Yeah, Valencia, Spain.
Well, this is just dinner time, isn't it?
It's 1 in the morning, so we have almost dinner time here.
It's almost dinner time. They eat very late. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. We will-
Nushin, we will, the next planning board meeting will be January 9th. So if you're back by then, we'll get you on that agenda.
Okay, yes, I'll be back.
Okay, good.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
So, we don't have, oh, or do we have, we do. We have McGuire here, yes?
You also need.
Yes, we have Bear Smith here.
We have to do.
We need to do the minutes.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that first and get that out of the way? So we have two sets of minutes, April 19th and May 3rd, where I gave my changes to Mike. There were just a couple of garbled sentences that didn't make sense to me, but did you have any changes or, okay.
No.
Could I have a motion to approve the April 19th minutes? John,
I'll second it.
seconded by Roy. All those in favor? Aye. And then may I have a motion to approve the May 3rd meeting
I'll make
minutes?
that motion.
Okay,
Second.
John seconds. All those in favor? Aye. That was so long ago.
I'm assuming we were all here.
I think we were. We're missing two
Yes.
people now.
You, all of you were at those two meetings.
Right. Okay, so those are the minutes, and now I believe we can move to the McGuire Cadillac Chevrolet request.
Lynn, let's close the public hearing for Nushin's.
Oh, we need to close that hearing, right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing for Nushin's request? Okay,
I'll second it.
thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing closed for that, so now we need to open a public hearing for the variance appeal number 2022-6 through 2022-12 for special permit 2022-4575. And this is for McGuire Chevrolet Cadillac, located at 35 Cinema Drive, seeking to update the existing building with improvements to the interior showroom areas, service area, and body shop. Are you John Snyder?
I'm Bear, but I'm from John Snyder Architects.
Oh, okay.
I'll be speaking on their behalf tonight.
Okay, thank you. Good, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right. So representing McGuire will review the proposed changes, which include a new entrance to the west facade and a second floor for the new Cadillac showroom. Parcel is located in the commercial high-traffic district and will require several variances, which we will go into. Well, first of all, we need to open a public hearing so we can discuss the variances. Could I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I move we open.
All right.
I'll second
Roy
it.
seconded. And all in favor? Aye, okay. Public hearing is now open to consider the variance appeals, of which there are several. So do you want to talk to us about your plans?
Yes, sure. Let me go ahead and share the screen and I can kind of walk through them.
Yeah, we all have schematics too, so we.
Perfect. Alrighty. So yes, there is a number of variances that this project is going to require. The big thing that we try to take into consideration is anytime that we do any one of these McGuire projects, that we're always trying to our absolute best to improve upon existing conditions and trying to make them compliant when possible. This site is a little bit tricky in the fact of there are quite a few existing non-conforming conditions. The majority of the variances that we are asking for are improvements upon those non-conforming conditions. But unfortunately, while they are an improvement, they are unable to reach the desired outcome, both for making sure that the functionality of the dealership is maintained, but also trying to meet the goals of the village at the same time. So starting down, so just to kind of point at some of the existing conditions that we're dealing with, if I can get my computer to zoom in. Come on. There we go. So along the front side of the building facing Uptown Road, you'll note that we have the existing front parking lot is actually extending across the property line. Along with there is a wide strip of asphalt transitioning from the road to the building. Both of these conditions we are improving upon. However, we are unable to get all the way to the 75-foot setback. The same is true along with Cinema Drive. You'll note that the existing parking lot is also extending over the property line that will be brought back to within the boundaries. Then along the bottom side, there will be a similar condition where the existing edge of pavement that is there is just going to be maintained. We're not making the parking lot any bigger or closer to the property line. And we don't have the space to reduce, unfortunately. And then along the property line in between the McGuire Chevy Cadillac and the McGuire Nissan property, there is parking right along the edge of that property line. There was a question at one point where I indicated on the documents that the parking was extending over, but when we went out to further review it in the field, when we did the Nissan project, there's actually a 2-foot gravel edge between the retaining wall and the edge of parking, which pushes the parking onto the property. So there is no crossover or easement there. Unfortunately, that property line happened when we subdivided the two parcels. That was part of a requirement with Nissan to be able to do that project. So unfortunately, it became a self-imposed condition. So moving on down to, I apologize, moving on down to the improvements that we are proposing. You'll notice right in this area, we have closed up that large expanse of asphalt between the road and the property. We are shifting it slightly east to create a nice controlled driveway there. So it's safer for both travelers on the road, people coming on and off site, and making it a safer condition for pedestrians to cross at that point, including adding the sidewalk. The parking lot portion down below, we have brought that within the property line. There will be a retaining wall required as a part of that. And you'll notice the retaining continues on up. And same thing along with Cinema Drive. We have brought that parking edge within the property line. You can see in both instances, the setback line is back here. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to bring that back because of our parking counts that we have to meet for Chevy and Cadillac. That much of a reduction, unfortunately, won't meet their program needs. And for front yard setbacks with the building itself, let me finish with the parking and then I'll go to the building. So over here, again, it's an existing condition that's going to be remaining. We're not changing anything about that. And same thing with the side, or the east side. As far as the front of the building goes for the building setback for the yard requirement, the existing showroom, the Cadillac portion of the building that's existing is roughly 10 feet away from the property line. As a part of meeting the new branding requirements and for to maintain the dealership here at this location, we do have to increase the size of that addition. However, we are increasing it east and west. We are not increasing it closer to the property line as much as we possibly can. I think it's like within a foot difference between the existing condition and the new condition. So that is going to be relatively maintained the same. And then as a part of that, believe it or not, from Cinema Drive, this portion of the building, I believe, extends over, hold on a second. I gotta remind myself here. No, so it's just this side that extends into that front yard setback. The other side, we're right close to that line, but we made sure we kept it snug back just enough to not require variance on that side. And I believe that covers all the site variances. There's also the signage variance, which with this project, keeping in mind the process that occurred last time for Nissan, we recognize that there was a very large asset request that was made that got reduced down to, I think, 300 and some square feet for the Nissan project. Given the size of this building, we worked with the Chevrolet and Cadillac team to reduce signage as much as we possibly could coming into this meeting. And right now we're asking for 270 square feet of sign. If you look at the two dealerships or the two brands individually, they would kind of meet the zoning threshold as is. Unfortunately, that's not how the zoning is written. Hence, we have to come and ask for a variance given the fact that we have two brands in one building. I think that covers the cursory glance of everything. I'll pause for a moment and we can discuss things as you see fit.
Well, Bear, I've got a couple things I want you to let the BZA know. Could you show them where you're talking about the one-way driving distance that?
Oh, yes.
Yep. 12 foot is required and you can only provide 11 feet at that point.
Correct. Yep. So drive lanes. So in most municipalities that we experience, an individual drive lane is between 10 to 12 feet. In your ordinance, it requires 12, and that is our preferred, definitely. So in the customer parking area here, you'll notice it's 24 foot to meet the 12-foot lane for two-way directional. Up here, we do have one-way traffic, which we will have at 14.6. The reason why we go a little wider on that is to make sure that people can comfortably back out of the space because 12 foot is very tight for one way. But what happens is down here, this is entirely a display lot for inventory. Customers are not intended to be parking in this region whatsoever. And to try to meet what we were trying to do of bringing the parking edge back in, making sure that we can meet the inventory numbers and everything, we did reduce this drive lane down to 22 feet. It's two-way. Just to be able to fit everything comfortably in there. So it was a reduction from 12 foot per lane to 11 foot per lane.
Okay.
One other addition, just to clarify things, that the reason why you're seeing front setbacks and side setbacks is this is a corner lot. So it requires front yard setback on Cinema Drive and Uptown. So the rear setback doesn't exist in this case.
Right. And could you, Mike, could you explain how the signage would be in compliance if you're one for each business, but the problem is that there are two signs for one business, right?
Yeah, I think if you looked at it as though there were two businesses there, then I guess you could double the value
Ah,
of,
but the fact is, they're all in the same building.
but it's not, it doesn't, the code doesn't stress the two businesses. Now, there's one other way of looking at this is if it was a planned sign area or something like that, but that's
Yeah.
generally for strip malls and whatnot. But I mean, you can take in consideration that there are two businesses here and that each business, I'm sure, requires, or each requires a certain amount of signage. So in a way, McGuire is somewhat strapped into having to, satisfy both dealerships. It's kind of a tough situation.
I understand that, the corporations are the ones who have the standards for how the signs should be, how big they should be, where they should be placed. It seems to me that they've got double placement. You've got a big sign on the side of the building with the brand, and nobody can mistake that shield, what that means, and Chevrolet is the same. And then you have the two pylons as well. I know that those are required, but it just seems to me like kind of overkill. That's just my opinion. I mean, we've had the same issue with Nissan with, a gigantic logo on the front of the building plus a very large pylon. And that was what we were struggling with, was just the sheer size of everything. These don't look that big to me.
No, they're significantly smaller than what we did at Nissan. And one of the things, because this is a common topic that comes up for multiple projects for us, and one of the conversations that we had with Chevy and Cadillac regarding this is the reason why a lot of these brands are requesting the pylon signs in addition to the building branding is they view the pylon signs as the safe way of customers seeing where the entry is to their lots from the road. Now, we all recognize that, yes, we're supposed to have eyes on the road, but in reality, people do look off to the side. They do see the building signage, but that's at least the rationale that we are being provided with.
Except that when you see where the pylons are placed, that's not where people are going to turn in. It's further down the road. It's down Cinema Drive where they turn in. So really, it's just eye-catching from the road more than anything else. And the same with Cadillac. You don't turn in where you see the Cadillac pylon. You're not driving in there. You're driving in on Cinema Drive and then coming in right into that parking lot.
Correct.
In front of
Yes.
where it says Chevrolet and McGuire, and then walking into the to the Cadillac dealership on the extreme north end of the building. That's right, but that's where customers would come in to the parking lot that's in the corner.
That is correct, yep.
Okay. And then rolling stock is all in that lot to the south.
Correct.
Okay. And then there's no more customer parking on the north side, the east side of the building, is that right? That's just access to get.
There will be additional customer parking over there. So that back alley is for service. So it's not the intended area for customers to be going to, but it does happen. So there are a few spots that tend to be reserved up near the showroom for that purpose. The two main areas where customers are intended to be parking is that main lot right in front of the Chevrolet showroom. And once you go up once you enter the site and go straight up the driveway, there's a service drive entry, and then there is adjacent parking spots right along there as well. So if they would like to park and walk on it.
Got it. They're tucked in right along the building itself.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And there's a couple EV chargers up there as well.
Yeah. Oh, good. I just have strong feelings about signage because one of the reasons we have a sign law in the village in the first place is to try to reduce visual clutter, especially from the highway. The last thing we want to do is to look like what most of Route 13 looks like, Meadow Street looks like downtown. I always use that as a comparison because I think it's just such a jumble. It's just it's a cacophony of signage. And fortunately, you're set back from the highway, so that's a big help to begin with.
Yeah, and to that point, as far as signage facing towards the highway, the only brand recognition that we really have is the Cadillac logo on the building, which does not allow any dealer-specific branding on there, which is atypical. And then the two pylon signs. That's why we located them to that side, so it does have visibility from the highway. So that was kind of the idea of getting some recognition there, but then also having the remainder of the signage towards the actual entry of the site, so people don't get confused where to go.
Okay, and the Chevrolet pylon, is that lit at night?
Yeah, so the
Are they both
Chevrolet pylon, it will be lit in the blue field, which that has been included in the calculation. And then the white letters, which would read McGuire, would be the only portion lit there. As far as the Cadillac sign goes, it is just the emblem and the font itself. It is not any of the fields surrounding it.
Okay, so just the emblem is lit. And
Yep.
is that lit until the end of business hours? Does it go off after business hours?
So we were intending to do the same thing that we did over at Nissan, where I believe half of the site lighting gets dimmed, and then I think I'm trying to remember if the sign on the building gets turned off or not, but we were hoping to meet the same requirements as what
Okay, I
Nissan
thought that
had.
there was like 10 o'clock at night or something like that. That it was.
That's ringing a bell, and I'm pretty sure
I'm
that's.
trying to remember, it's been a while. Maybe
Yeah.
Mike, do you remember what, well, anyway, it's not important, but the only thing that matters is that, an excess of lighting when it's not needed.
That's understandable, and as part of the new lighting requirements as well, we have reduced the site lighting down to meet the requirements. So that will be something that we have made strides towards trying to make sure we're meeting that.
Good, because this is one of my pet peeves with the old site, with the Chevy site, and I've told this to Mike, and if you're driving down Route 13 from Warren Road, the lights that are on the poles that are lighting the west end of the Chevy dealership are aimed out in such a way that they're really quite blinding and very distracting. And they bothered me for years, and I just never understood why they weren't shaded or face downward more. Yes, you have to light your stop, but because you're coming from uphill, you are in that line of sight for those lights for a long time.
Well, the good news is if this project does move forward, that will be corrected, because all the lighting will be night sky compliant with being down and have the shielding where required.
I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you. That's a big improvement, and that'll set the tone for some of your neighbors who aren't doing such a good job with lighting. But okay, I've spoken enough. What about Roy and John? Do you have questions and things you want to raise?
No, I don't really have any questions at this point.
No, I don't have it.
Okay, well then maybe what we'll do is we'll start going through the variance requests one at a time. Okay, I had it out. Here we go. So we're going to try to get through these. I think I'm going to skip a lot of verbiage just for the record, because we'd be here all night if I read through every single one of these. So we'll go through the appeals one by one, and we have to do our findings for each one. We'll go through those quickly, and then at the end, we'll with each one of these, we will decide whether we grant it or not. So the very first one is, involves the consideration of the following proposed action. Appeal number 2022-06, McGuire Chevrolet Cadillac located at 35 Cinema Drive, seeking to update the existing building with improvements to the showroom, service area, and body shop. The applicant is requesting an area variance for front yard setback to Uptown Road. The village front yard setback as per section 145-43E4 requires 75 feet in a commercial high-traffic district. The applicant is seeking to adjust the requirement to 10 feet, resulting in a 65-foot deficiency of the village code requirement. So in reviewing this, we have looked at all of the documentation, and in accordance with the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, this is a type 2 action, does not require a seeker review. And then in accordance with section 712-B of the village law and the state of New York, the Village of Lansing Code section 145-74A1, the Village of Lansing Board of Zoning Appeals in the course of its deliberations will take into consideration the benefit of, if the area variance is granted, the benefit to the applicant, sorry, if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. So we will go through the findings, and the first is we make the following findings with respect to to specific criteria for such area variances as set forth in our village law. The first is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance.
Well, there are kind of two issues, because we're dealing with the setback provisions and then also signage. And with the setbacks, I don't have any.
Yeah, well, we have to go through each one of these individually, so this is just for the first
Just the
variance.
first, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, we will get to the signage. So this one is just for going from 75 feet to 10 feet. So losing 65 feet of frontage on the
Setback.
setback. So this is just about that setback.
Setback, got it.
But didn't I hear it was already less than that? That they're actually improving it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's,
So could I have, or we agree that it's not going to create an undesirable change?
correct, yes.
Okay. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance?
Probably not.
No,
I would imagine not. They've tried everything else, This is an existing lot, existing building, and they're trying to upgrade according to new standards. Whether the requested area variance is substantial. I would say it is. Down to from 75 to 10 feet is substantial.
it is.
Whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I don't think so. If anything, they might be improving it because
Yeah.
there's going to be some landscaping, right? You have some landscaping planned?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's one of the things we plan on presenting in further detail at the planning board,
Yeah.
but there is going to be significant improvement to the landscaping.
Okay, thank you. So that would be a no. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. I think it's the nature of the development that causes it to be created, so yes, probably a yes. So now what we need is just a motion to grant or deny this. You move to grant it?
Granted.
All right, and Roy, seconds, okay, all those in favor? Aye. So we have approved the first area variance. And I don't see that we need to add any conditions to that. So that's the first one. If we can get through the others quickly. The second one, I'm going to cut to the chase. The applicant is requesting an area variance for front parking setback on Cinema Drive. The village front parking setback as per section 145-43E7A requires 25 feet in a commercial high traffic district. The applicant is asking to adjust the requirement to 3.2 feet, resulting in a 21.8-foot deficiency of the village code requirement. And the same holds true, that we have looked at all the information and that seeker is not required. And so at this point, we'll go through the findings. This is This is the west, a new entrance to the west facade and the second floor. Front parking on, so this is Cinema Drive. I keep thinking of it as Sheraton, but it doesn't,
Once you turn the corner.
once you turn the corner, it becomes cinema. So we're going to look at the following findings: whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance.
No.
I don't believe so. You don't agree? Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. I don't see how it could be, no. Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's just about 8 up the whole setback. Yes. Whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
I see none. Agreed. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. So, are we in agreement to grant this variance? May I have a motion?
I'll
Right.
I'll move that we grant this
John,
variance.
seconded, and all those in favor? Aye. So the second one is approved. How are we doing? Okay, all right. 2. And the next variance appeal is, okay. The applicant is requesting an area variance for front parking setback on Uptown Road. The village front parking setback, as per section 145-43E7A, requires 25 feet in a commercial high-traffic district. The applicant is asking to adjust the requirement to 2.4 feet, resulting in a 23.6-foot deficiency of the village code requirement. So this is very much like the last one.
Right.
We've looked at all the materials, and it does not require a seeker. And so at this point, may I have a motion to approve or deny?
Do the findings.
Oh, yeah, oh, that's right, we have to do the findings, sorry, thank you. While you're here. You can see how badly I'm. Oh, sorry, all right, now we'll go to the findings. The first one is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance.
No.
None, no. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
No.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial. Yes. Whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. No, I don't believe so. We're in agreement. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Yes. Now, may I have a motion?
I'll move that we grant this variance request.
A second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That is approved. And this one is, the applicant is, excuse me, the applicant is requesting an area variance for side yard parking setback to the south. The village side yard parking setback, as per section 145-43E7B, requires 15 feet in the commercial high-traffic district. The applicant is asking to adjust the requirement to 6.33 feet, resulting in an 8.67-foot deficiency of the village code requirement. We've received all the materials, we've reviewed the materials, there's no seeker required. So now what we need to do is to go through the findings. And first is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the variance. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
No.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial, I would say yes. It's cut in half. Yeah, that's pretty substantial. Okay. Whether the proposed area variance will have adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. May I have a motion to approve or deny this? All right, is there a second to approve?
Second.
Roy? John and Roy, all those in favor? Aye, motion carried. Okay, so that one is approved. And this one is, I should be reading off the numbers. Appeal number 2022-10. We've just done, what did we do? We did 6, 7, 8, and 9, so now we're on 10. The applicant is requesting an area variance for side yard parking setback to the east. The village side yard parking setback as per section 145-43E7B requires 15 feet in the commercial high-traffic district. The applicant is asking to adjust the requirement to 0 feet, resulting in a 15-foot deficiency of the village code requirement. And I think that's where there's an overlap between the two, between the Nissan parking.
Yes, it was originally all one parcel. Part of the Nissan project was we had to subdivide. So that new property line went in right next to the retaining wall. There's a 2-foot gap between the property line and the retaining wall. Vehicles' bumpers are right at that line.
Yeah, okay. That's good, thank you.
Yep.
We've reviewed all the materials. It doesn't require seeker review, and so now what we need to do is the findings. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance? No. Whether benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance? No way, I guess. Whether the requested area variance is substantial? Mightily, yes. Whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district?
No.
None at all. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created?
Yes.
The nature of this development. So, having reviewed the findings, could I have a motion to accept or deny? To grant or grant it in second? Okay. John and Roy. Mike, are you able to get all this? Who moves and whatnot?
Yes, I have. I've already got
Okay.
everything.
Great, thank you. All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The variance is granted. Woo-hoo, moving along here. What did I just do? This is not odd. Okay. This one is appeal number 2022-11. The applicant is requesting a variance for driving lane width. The village driving lane width, as per section 145-51B, requires a 12-foot wide driving lane and one-way accessory parking lot in any district. The applicant is asking to adjust the requirement to 11 feet, resulting in a 1-foot deficiency of the village code requirement. And we have reviewed all the materials. It doesn't require seeker, and now we need to do the findings.
Hey, Lynn, can I interrupt you just 1 second?
Yeah.
I'm gonna end up rewording that because I might have misunderstood. It's actually going to be, the variance that you're doing is going to be for, required is 24 feet for a 2-way. And the applicant is asking for 22 feet, resulting in a 2-foot deficiency. Because it was my assumption that it was a 1-way. It was my fault for not asking Bear.
Oh, okay, so
He
it's
explained what this was.
everything is doubled then, so it's 12-foot wide driving lane in for one way, it would be 24 for 2, is that what you're saying?
And I'm gonna make those changes right now while you're going through the findings.
All right, fine. So the deficiency is 2 feet.
Yes.
All right,
That sound good, Bear?
is that all right?
That's correct. Sounds good to me.
Okay, here's our findings. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance?
No.
No. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance? No. Whether the requested area variance is substantial.
It isn't.
Doesn't sound like substantial to me if it's 2 feet out of 24.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district?
No.
no.
No. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created?
Yes.
Yes. So may I have a motion to grant or deny?
I move that we grant that.
Right, is there a second? John and I, all those in favor? Aye. So that variance is granted?
But Natalie, was that okay, me changing that in the middle of this whole thing?
Yeah, that's right, you got it. Yeah. Okay, number 6. All right, here's the last one. This is the signage. Okay. The applicant is requesting a variance for signage. The Village Code Section 115-7.1B2A limits the total square footage of signs to 100 square feet, which includes a maximum of 1 freestanding sign and 2 advertisement signs for new car sales. Mike, is that 100 square feet is based on occupied square footage of the business?
No, it's based on just that single lot per lot, not, are you talking about if the square footage of the building was larger, the actual square footage of the signage would be larger, is that what you're asking?
Is that true?
That's not the case.
Okay, it's just that there's one building.
Yes.
Okay, got it. The applicant is asking to adjust the requirement to 270.91 square feet, that's square feet, right? Resulting in 170.91 square foot overage of the village code maximum. The applicant is also proposing 2 freestanding signs, which would be the pylons, is that right? And 6 advertising signs, and those would be the ones that are on the building, right? The advertising signs?
That is correct.
The ones that are in the right-hand column of your list there. Okay,
That is correct.
all right. Well, we've reviewed all the materials. Doesn't require a seeker, and we need to go through the findings. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties will be created by granting the area variance.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, the signs look to me somewhat reduced from what they might have been. And the fact if they're lit and then those lights go off at some point, it seems not to have that much of a,
Change the characteristics of the lighting so that it doesn't
right,
bleed into the highway.
right. So I think that would be a no. You agree, Roy?
Yes.
Okay. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Well, I mean, they could do a 100 square foot sign. Yeah, so yes, they could. But that's not the way it's going to work. But there is the choice of going to 100 square feet.
May I comment on that?
Yes.
So from the village perspective, absolutely. The problem that we face is once the branding gets under a certain size, many times that will impact the manufacturers on what programs the dealership can participate in, what benefits, all that kind of stuff. So we've had this conversation with them. We preemptively went to try to reduce as much as we possibly could because we wanted to value everyone's time, especially given what we experienced on Nissan. And this is currently the absolute minimum that we've been said, yes, we can proceed and share this with y'all. Anything further from this would require, currently it would require more negotiation with the manufacturers and could have negative repercussions.
Well, it has negative repercussions for you, your dealership.
Absolutely.
But these are really more for, yeah, I mean, that's,
And it seems that they have these cookie cutter kinds of
Yeah,
procedures and layout and so on and so forth, which puts the dealership at a disadvantage. And it also affects the rules and regulations and code.
right, right.
That said,
But I think it sounds to me then that there really isn't another way around this unless it impacts your dealership. The argument is that you could then have some difficulties with the manufacturer.
That is correct.
Okay, well, then I guess I would say no, no.
No.
Whether the requested area variance is substantial, yes.
yes,
We all agree. Whether the proposed area variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I don't think so. That's a lot like the first question, that it's not, I think it's not going to be all that noticeable, no. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created.
Yep.
So may I have a motion either to grant or deny this area variance? Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Variance granted. Variance says. Granted, all right. Use that, that's the public hearing. Which I could use help with English. Would somebody like to move that we close the public hearing?
I'll move to close the hearing.
Roy, second. All those in favor? Aye, so the public hearing is closed. Thank you, gentlemen, everybody.
Thank you all so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time and effort. This has been fantastic.
Well, and thank you for working with us, because we have our reasons.
Absolutely. And as being a part of the community myself, I fully understand where you guys come from on a lot of these parts. And I've dealt with a lot of municipalities, and we're trying to be preemptive on this. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear us out on this.
I mean, I think it's a very thoughtful application, so thank you for doing that. And it must give you guys fits to have the manufacturers calling the shots about everything. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We had a difficult process in Syracuse over signage, but we found a solution that worked for the community.
Good, good. And when is the work going to begin?
So if all goes according to plan, our hope is to get started probably sometime this spring. And I would probably anticipate a year and a half construction period. I don't want it longer than that, but hopefully it's shorter.
I mean, can you continue to run your showrooms during the construction? What's going to happen with your cars?
That's always the tricky part with these things. There is going to have to be a phasing portion that we'll have to work out, definitely with Mike, to make sure that we can stay up and running, continue serving the community, but also at the same time make sure that the work is done in a timely fashion while maintaining everyone's safety during the process. So it gets tricky with these existing facilities, but we've had experience on a couple of them. So we're hoping this one will go just as smoothly.
I've seen instances where McGuire downtown has parked all their cars at the old Pizza Hut, and, or it wasn't the Pizza Hut, it was, I don't know, it was a
Chili's or something?
It was one of the takeout places, one of the fast food places down on Commercial Avenue. They were parked there once, and they were parked up near Wegmans.
Yeah, there have been times where the McGuires have rented out other lots to be able to store vehicles temporarily. Ideally, they like to try to keep those as close as possible for the customer experience and all of that. But yeah, it is very tricky. Like I said, we're going through it in Syracuse right now, and it's tough on everyone, but the end result is going to be fantastic. So we're hoping to be able to do the same with this project.
Do you anticipate that you might have to move cars down to the mall here, and put them in?
Honestly, it's a little early in those discussions. We haven't figured out what the phasing is going to exactly look like at this moment. We're starting those conversations, definitely, but nothing definitive at this point.
Okay, well, that's it for us. I guess we don't need anything else, right?
No, Bear, I'll contact you tomorrow about a couple other items.
Thanks so much
Okay.
for being with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, and you all have a wonderful evening.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Funny, the table looks bright yellow
Yeah,
in that picture. The color is wacky. All right. You don't need any of these
Move
back.
to adjourn.
Nope, I've got them all.
What's that?
You have to adjourn.
Yeah. Can I have a motion to adjourn? John moved. Roy?
what if I don't?
What if you don't? We're here for the long haul, man.
I second.
All those in favor, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Sneeze on you.
Official time, oh, it is
8:03.
1 minute past 8. 8:01.